All right, so I'm inside of a 2018 Honda Accord. This is the EXL, and this is the 2-liter version. I'm just going to walk you through some buttons and features and explain how everything works. So let's start you over here on the side. So you'll notice I have power windows, auto up, down on my driver and passenger side. My window locks are right above it. The LED will tell you. Door locks are right here. My window controls, so my mirror, controls left and right, and then I can adjust on the pad. Moving over to the side here, you'll notice I do have memory seating for this car. So to do that, I would press set. I already have my seat adjusted, and then press 1 or 2 to set that to that particular seat, right? And there'll be a number 1 and number 2 on the back of the keys. So if you haven't seen that, I'll show you right here on this key. You'll see driver 2 on the back of that one, driver 1. That's how that works, right? Okay. So moving over here, if I want to reset my tripometer, that's how I would do it. And then obviously I can affect the brightness and darkness of my screen over here, so you can see me adjusting it. So that's how that works. Moving down, these are my Honda sensing features. Right now you can see that I have all of these features on, and you have the option and ability to turn all these off too. So you'll notice that symbol is actually on the screen right now. So that's what this button is. Below that is my, excuse me, this is called Vehicle Stability Assist. It works with my traction control. So in the event that I go into a skid, it'll transfer power to whichever wheel has better traction to help correct the skid. So that's how this button works. You have to press this and hold it to turn it off, and you'll hear a beep. So now you can tell it's off, and it shows you up here. And then when I turn it back on, there you go. So that's how that works. Down below, you'll notice there is my trunk release, and then my hood release is right down here also. So that's where these two buttons are. Moving up to the steering wheel. So first thing right here is plus and minus, my volume controls as far as the vehicle goes. The buttons right here will change between tracks. It'll jump between favorite stations, things like that. So if I've got FM pulled up or AM, or if I got the satellite radio pulled up, that's how this works. Now I have this scrolling pad in the middle. Now how the scrolling pad is, if I hit the home button, you're gonna pop up this screen, and then there's all these different things I can scroll to. And then to select one, I just press down on the pad, right? So that's how this works. So some cool features that this car has, you can have the tachometer if you want. A lot of people don't really use it, so it doesn't make much sense. Being able to have your audio right there is kind of nice, because that way you can see what you're listening to. Phone, traffic signs, really cool. It actually uses the camera in the car to read the traffic signs when you pass them and let you know exactly what speed limits there are on the roads you're on. So that's kind of nice if you're in an area that you're not familiar with. So that's how that works. There's just some different things here, maintenance reminder stuff, and this is like oil life, just general features here. So it kind of is nice because it uses up the tachometer spot that most people don't really pay attention to the tach anyway. Moving down, my Bluetooth control, so to answer a phone call, to hang up, use voice command. This also works with my Apple CarPlay and Android Auto setup, and I'll explain that here momentarily. Moving over to the right side of the steering wheel. So this is where some of the Honda sensing features come into play. So first thing you want to hit is cruise main. Cruise main will actually stay on the entire time if you leave it on. So I could turn the car off, turn it back on, and this will stay on. You know it's on if you see ACC and LKS, so that's what's flashing up there, right? So ACC is adaptive cruise control. So to set my cruise, I get up to speed, I press set. From there, I can set the distance between me and the car in front of me. Using this button right here, you'll see more boxes means more distance. And you'll see an icon of a car when you're driving down the road. Obviously, I'm not driving right now, so you're not gonna see that. So that's how this works. So that's the button I'm pressing to create that distance. Now lane keep assist is right here. I can turn this button on, and when I do that, you'll see these lines come on. Now, when those fill in solid, it means it's now reading the road. It'll do that from 45 miles an hour to 90 miles an hour. And just remember, if you have your windshield wipers on, this feature isn't going to work. Now, what it's set up to do is it uses that same camera that it uses to read the street signs. And what it's going to do is anytime you start to drift out of your lane, it's going to help correct for you and keep you centered in that lane. So nice safety features there just to help out and make sure you don't drift into somebody because you're distracted by your coffee or your kids, or your dogs, or whatever it may be. So that's how this feature works. So that's kind of the rundown of what's going on this side. You'll notice the car does have paddle shifters, so you can see them hiding back here. And that just allows me to adjust the shifting points on my own if I prefer to. My auto on-off headlights, you can see I have them set to auto right now. I can turn them on completely, or if I like them to be auto where they turn on and off on their own. And then my fog light controls to turn them on. You'll see the hash mark lined up, or turn them off. So that's how this works. And then my windshield wipers are over on this side. I think everybody can handle windshield wipers. Moving over to the touchscreen. So I'm gonna start you at the home screen, right? So that's where we're at right now. You've got some quick jumps right up here that you can actually adjust, along with all the buttons here on the screen. So just to start off, I wanna show you, if you wanna like move stuff around, you press and hold. This screen pops up from here. Now I can move this over here. I can move stuff around, I can add, I can remove stuff. So that's how this works. So it's pretty easy setup to use, and it's kind of nice because you can customize it to whatever you prefer in case there's two buttons that you use constantly and you want them closest to the steering wheel. So that's how this works. So I'm gonna press done just to jump out of that. So settings, I'll start you there. Couple things you'll notice, connections. So this is where you would go to connect a phone, and then obviously I would go to Bluetooth, and then I would want to connect a device, and it's going to ask me, have you turned on the Bluetooth on your phone, and then you would go from there. So that's how to connect a phone up. Let me back out of that screen and jump back to vehicle settings. So this is where some important stuff is too. This is how you can get to like your door lock setups, your windows, the light, the like interior and exterior lights. So there's some different features in here that I really like. Keyless access setup, where the key fob and how it affects if you wanted to just open one door versus multiple doors when you put your hand on the door handle. So that's what this is, what I was just describing right there. So just some different things in here to know about. As far as door locks, let me jump around here. Door and window. And if you scroll down to the very bottom, walkway auto lock. This is a cool feature. If you get outside of 10 feet from your car, it can be set to automatically lock the doors. So that way if you walk in the grocery store and you can't remember if you locked it or not, great feature for those people. I happen to be one of those people, so I like this feature. Bluetooth controls, so to receive phone calls, texts, things like that. I don't have a phone connected up to this brand new car. My FM, so jumping over to that, it's pretty simple. As far as setting stations and doing stuff like that, get to wherever you want, find the station you want, and then just press and hold like any other stereo, and it'll set it to that station. So nothing too complicated there. Bluetooth audio, obviously if you're going to stream anything off of your phone or an MP3 player or anything like that, that's where you would go to do so. Smartphone connections. So this is where things start to come into play as far as Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. What I would want to do is plug my phone into the USB down here, and you'll notice the phone on it, letting me know this is the one you need to plug into. From there, this screen will light up, and it'll either show Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Now, if you have Apple CarPlay, or if you're using an Apple phone, you don't have to download anything. If you're using Android, you do have to download the Android Auto app, so just be aware of that. This will light up. From there, you'll be able to select it and get access to your music, your messages, your navigation, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartMedia. There's a whole bunch of different apps you can access through this. It's really cool, though, because I can pull the navigation off my phone onto this screen and be able to use it from the screen, hear it through the speakers. So it essentially gives me free navigation without having to pay that extra money for it and then worry about map updates and things like that moving into the future. So just a cool feature. Keep it in mind. The voice command button I was mentioning earlier over here, I can press and hold this until I hear the beep for Siri and ask Siri to text people, ask Siri to give me directions. I can use this for OK Google to ask for directions to a certain area or things like that. So this is where this comes into play, not only to make phone calls and receive texts and things like that, but also for the sake of being able to get navigation and things like that. So that's how this works. My trip right here, a couple different screens I can pull up. This is just like, average consumption, things like that. Different options that I can get to from there. I can also pull up a screensaver on there also. Text message function, SMS, receive text. 90 days of satellite radio comes standard with the car. You do have two USBs. The other USB is actually hiding down in here. So I've got a power outlet down in there and a USB if you can see those. So just want to let you know what's going on there also. I do have AM, if you want to do a system update, adjust the clock. Honda Link is set up to where you can receive maintenance reminders, recall notices, things like that if you have the phone connected up to the car. And then obviously you do have a compass if you want to use it. So that's kind of the quick rundown of the screen right here. Pretty easy to understand, pretty easy to work through, so most people don't have too hard of a time. It is a dual climate control system setup, so I can control left and right separate of each other or together if I have them synced, which you'll notice right here. So if I adjust, they both adjust. If I unsync, I can adjust one and keep the other temperature the same. So that's how this system is set up right here. This car does come with heated seats. My controls are right there, and I've got 3 different settings, so you can see how that works. And it's on both sides. Moving down, I do have the power outlet, and I have a USB there, and you saw the other one in the center console. And this is a little bit weird for some people. I don't have a standard shifter. I have buttons on here. So like to throw it in reverse, I just pull back on the trigger. That automatically pulls up my camera, and then I've got 3 different views of my camera. I've got normal, I've got a wide angle, I've got one aimed straight down so you can see the edge of my back bumper if I'm parallel parking. And then this car does have cross traffic monitoring. So it'll let me know if somebody's coming from my left and right. It'll show me arrows on whichever side they're coming from. So that's how that works. And then obviously, my rest of my buttons, when you throw it in drive, it lights up, so it lets you know what you've set, right? So that way you know. Below this, Econ button will improve gas mileage of the car. Whenever I turn that on, you'll see that green leaf that's flashing on and off right now. How that works, shuts down some electrical systems in the front of the car, affecting things like shifting points and the AC and the accelerator, so just keep that in mind. Sport mode does the opposite, essentially. It's going to give you a little bit more get up and go, but it is going to rev at a higher RPM, and it is going to affect gas mileage in a negative way, so just keep that in mind. You have 2 different functions here. Parking brakes electronic, put my foot on the brake, lift up to set it, you see the red LED come on, and you'll feel the pedal move under your foot. To release it, put my foot on the brake, press down on the trigger, it releases. Brake hold set up to where if I'm in stop and go traffic and I come to a complete stop while the car's in drive, it will hold the brake for me and I can let my foot off. So that way I'm not like gas brake, gas brake, gas brake. It's a convenience feature, so that's how this works. So if you have questions, feel free to let me know. I'm sitting inside a white diamond pearl model with the black interior, so you can see it still has the wood inlay that runs along the sides. It actually blends really well with the dark leather. Some nice stitching and perforated leather since I do have heated seats. So that's what's going on with this car. Now moving above us, I do have the mirror right here. It is auto dimming, so my controls are down here. Also with HomeLink, which I don't know if you can see these that well, but I'm trying here. So yeah, my HomeLink controls are right here. And then it is of course auto dimming, so that's how that works. Above me, I do have a moonroof that I can throw open if I crack it that way. I'm actually gonna stop it. I'm gonna send it back. And then if I wanna crack it, I just press directly up on it. And then this controls my interior lighting when the door is open. Above that, I just have a standard sunglass holder. So, you know, pretty standard stuff as far as what I'd call new car stuff, lit vanities and things like that. If you have any questions about the car, feel free to reach out. I'd be more than happy to help you out. Just let me know what I can do for you. You can always comment on the YouTube video. You can always call me at 512-443-4300, or you can email me at the letter J and then Fuller, Fuller, @howdyhonda.com. Thank you much.